Welcome back to the bunker, guys. I'm Zell, and today we got an interesting entry from Byrd to the EDC knife market. It's the Byrd Meadowlark 2. And of course, I've got some thoughts on this knife, but first of all, why don't you guys come on in here a little closer and we'll get a look at it. Let's take a trip around the Byrd Meadowlark 2. As we can see from this side, we have Byrd and Meadowlark 2. Clearly indicated on the FRN handles. FRN is fiberglass reinforced nylon. And we have our bidirectional texturing. It's a little different than what you get on the Spyderco Endura and Delica, but the effect is very close to the same. So we turn the knife around to the back. It is a lock back with the lock in the mid position. And on around on this side, we have our pocket clip. It's kind of a standard Spyderco style pocket clip. And just like on the Delica and the Endura, you can put it on either end of the knife, on either side. So it's tip up, tip down, blade forward, blade back, whatever your preference is. So move on around at the top of the knife. We have a nicely centered blade. And from there, we'll start getting into the numbers. The weight of the Meadowlark 2 is 2.32 ounces, so it's very, very light. We have a closed length of 4 inches, a thickness of 0.38 inches, and an overall height of 1.54. So, when closed, this knife gives us a pretty small footprint. Before we open it up, we have a couple more things to look at. We do have a lanyard hole here. And on these knives, we have a comet-shaped thumb hole instead of the round thumb hole the Spyderco puts on the Spyderco line. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it works pretty much the same, and I actually kind of like it on these knives. The comet hole works just like a spider hole. Stick your thumb in it, rotate the blade around, knife opens. And one-handed manipulation is very similar to the Spyderco. Give it a little flick like that once you push the lock back down and close the knife. One thing to note here is the finger choil right here. That gives you a little more protection whenever you're going to close the knife. Put your finger here and you have that finger choil that hits your index finger. Moving on to the rest of the measurements, we have an open length of 6 7/8 of an inch, a blade length of 3 inches, with a cutting edge of 2.55, and a blade thickness at its thickest point of 0.1. All those measurements are from my instruments, not from the manufacturer. The blade is also a semi-leaf shaped drop point. It's a drop point with a raised area to get our comet shaped thumb hole in. And it's a full flat grind, so just like most of the Spyderco EDC knives, it's a good little slicing knife. Alright guys, I've been carrying this Byrd Meadowlark 2 around for a few weeks now, and I kind of like it. You know, it has the 8CR13 MOV blade on it, and some people might knock that, but with the full flat grind from Spyderco, and don't be mistaken, Byrd is a subsidiary of Spyderco, and this knife is all Spyderco design. Anyhow, the full flat grind of the Meadowlark 2's blade and the 8CR13 MOV work well together. The factory edge that was on it wasn't too bad, and it held pretty well. I went ahead and sharpened it up to level of sharpness that I like, and it has held that level of sharpness pretty darn good, much better than most of the 8CR13 MOV knives that I've used. You know, it has chipped a little bit, it has rolled a little bit, But I've been able to strop those things out pretty quickly and easily. So the Chinese steel in this knife, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's good. I wouldn't feel like I was under-knifed if I had this on me. It would get me through the day without any problems. Now, the elephant in the room is a comparison with the Delica from Spyderco. We're not going to get into that today. I'll have another video out here in a few weeks where we will directly compare the two. I will say this, if you have 20 bucks to spend and you're looking for a good EDC knife, this is going to be one of your top contenders. I would not feel like I didn't have enough knife on me for EDC carry. And the construction is very good for a Chinese knife. It's not quite up to the construction level of the Tenacious from Spyderco, which is also produced in China, but it's very, very good. So guys, those are my thoughts on this knife. It's a good one. It's a keeper. And at less than 20 bucks, if that's all you can afford, get one. If you can afford more than one, you might want more than one, because I don't think it's a knife that's going to let you down. The only complaint I had with it is the pivot was a little rough whenever it showed up. I squirted it down with some ballistol and sat and watched a couple of shows on Netflix and just ran the knife back and forth like this, and it smoothed up pretty well. It's not to the smoothness level of a Delica or an Endura or something like that, but you know, it's 20 bucks and it's plenty smooth enough. Well guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me for a few minutes. You know, if you would take a moment and click one of those buttons down below, share, like, subscribe, any of them, I would really, really appreciate it. And be sure to come back next time. We've got a lot more in store. I've got a whole list of knives. We've got some guns to go through, and several other things we're going to do. So, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.